Hello, 12s. Welcome to episode 174 of Seahawks Now. I'm Aaron Coe. This is where we dive into the news and analysis of everything Seattle Seahawks, your Super Bowl 60 champions. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast. It really helps us out a lot. It is free to you, of course. So let's dive into it. The Seahawks are for sale. Let's get into it right now. So yes, the Seahawks are officially for sale. So this was something that was leaked prior to the Super Bowl, that the Seahawks would be going for sale after the Super Bowl. Some people questioned that report and questioned Brady Henderson from ESPN, who I know a little bit, and some others about that report. I always kind of figured it was accurate. The Paul Allen estate did come out and say, nope, not for sale. We're not going to comment, but it's not for sale. So that's kind of a comment. Um, but they just said it wasn't for sale right at that moment. They did not dispute the fact that it would be going for sale. And indeed, the team was officially listed as for sale from the Paul Allen estate on Wednesday. They've got lawyers, they've got sale agents and all kinds of stuff ready to go. You can see the tweet of the official names and all that on the Seahawks X page if you wish. I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but a legal group, a sale group, and they're going to look around and get as much as they can. And it's probably, folks, going to be about 6 or 7 billion. So if you've got a 6-7 billion laying around, scoop it up and go give it to Jody Allen. Well, not Jody Allen, but the Paul Allen estate, and you could own the Seattle Seahawks. So why now? There was some pressure. So again, it was always dictated in Paul Allen's will that it be sold. I'll get more into that in a second. But the bottom line is the NFL was like, hey, you got to do this. An NFL team cannot be owned by a trust. It has to be owned by an individual or a group of people. So that's kind of in the bylaws. So it did have to be sold in terms of the NFL's reasoning. It had to transition ownership at some point. And of course, it's been a while. So, it was always the plan to make this happen. So we kind of always knew that this was going to be the case, that they were going to require this to happen. And I'm sure it was pretty hard for Jody Allen to do this. I'm sure she enjoyed owning an NFL team. Who wouldn't? I'd be a little slow to sell a team if somebody left it to me as well. So who will buy the team is going to be very interesting to say. So why did Paul Allen require this? Basically, he wanted all of his sports holdings to be sold. So that included the Trailblazers and some other things to be sold, so all that money could go towards philanthropy. So a very good cause. So I'm sure Jody's doing quite well, but it was not her right, as he saw it, to keep owning those teams. He wanted that money to go toward what he believed to be more important things. So I definitely respect that. Again, so we're in 2026, so it's taken 8 years to get to this point, almost 8 years. And I think Jody Allen has done a fantastic job of navigating. I mean, it's hard to argue, right, when they win a Super Bowl. And she had to navigate, the transition from Pete Carroll, which I'm sure was very hard for her to do. You move on from the only coach to ever win a Super Bowl at that point in franchise history. And you decide to make that move. I'm sure it was hard. And obviously that was done very well. She always had Burt Kolde by her side. And Burt Kolde was Paul Allen's roommate in college, I believe. So he's always been kind of a behind-the-scenes person that's helped the franchise make some good decisions, I think. So, hey, and they won a Super Bowl before the sale. I'm glad she got to enjoy that moment and hold up that trophy. And speak to the 12s before the team was sold. So that was really good to see that. So this will take some time. This ownership, this isn't like putting your car on Craigslist, right? This is going to take more than a couple of days. This is going to take months and months and months. So the announcement said, that they put out through the Seahawks, said that it would take through the off season. So that probably means you won't see a new owner in place, maybe until they kick off next season. Hard to say exactly how long that will take. they'll be taking bids and going through all those things, and then just the transaction itself takes several months. Even the Trailblazers sale, even though they've known who the owner was going to be for some time, takes several months to get it done. So who will buy the team? Washington does have about a dozen billionaires, so there are some options out there. But but again, if you think it might affect next season, I don't think that's going to be the case. It probably won't even really affect the following season because they'll be well into they're probably not going to make any big changes immediately. But again, it's always hard to tell though exactly how a sale might affect things. So, what does a new owner what does having a new owner mean? What are the long-term implications? We've already talked about how the short-term implications, probably nothing serious, but long-term, I got to tell you, I have some concerns. I don't think this is a good thing. I really wish Jody Allen could have held on to the team. It's of course very easy for me to say that, considering the team just won a Super Bowl with her at the top of that ownership group. Um, so what happens when somebody else buys the team? Do they want to put their mark on it? Do they want to say, "Hey, this is my team. We do things my way"? I sure hope not. I hope they do things exactly the way they did this season so that they can win another Super Bowl, or like they did in 2013. Even though Pete Carroll was the coach, they had a certain way of doing things. They're a patient franchise. They don't make just wild knee jerk actions that damage the team long term. This is why the team has been relevant for since Paul Allen bought the team in 1997. This is why the team has been relevant for all that team. That's why they've gone to 4 Super Bowls and won 2, because they're a stable franchise that makes wise decisions. Are they perfect? No. Have they made mistakes? Absolutely. But really, if you look at it, just it's been one of the strongest franchises since early 2000s when they moved to the NFC in 2002. It's one of the best franchises in football. There's only a couple you could put ahead of it: New England, Kansas City. That's probably about it, right? In terms of teams that have had stable success and won a couple of championships. So it's been a remarkable run. So yeah, my concern is, so who are the candidates? First of all, I we don't really know. You got to start with the billionaires, right? And people that are just kind of out there front and center. So Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Steve Ballmer from Microsoft. I've also seen Larry Ellison's name thrown around. And then I've also seen both Bill and Melinda Gates' names out there. They are no longer married, but one or the other of them. I would love for Bill Gates or even Melinda Gates to own the team, because I feel like they would be very stable owners, and I think they would continue to lean on Burt Kold, and they would probably keep Jody Allen involved with the franchise in some regard as a trustee or something like that. And I would really like to see that happen. Just because, again, keeping that consistency, that stability going. Basically, guys, I don't want a Jerry Jones situation, right? That would be the worst case scenario, where someone comes in, they want to be the center of attention, they want all the cameras on them, and then they don't win a daggone thing uh, for 30 years now. So that's what we really don't want to see. Sometimes these new owners come in and they want to put their mark on things. They want to make decisions. They want their GM in there. Does it make John Schneider's job harder if he's got someone leaning over him in the draft room? Does John Schneider's a pretty chill guy. I don't think he wants to work for a psycho. So I just hope that I'm not saying those guys that I mentioned or Melinda Gates are psychos, but I don't know. The people are different when they become owner of an NFL team. Hell, I would probably be crazy if I owned a team. I would probably be too emotional and make some bad decisions, I'm guessing. And I just I want that stability that has led to this franchise being so good for so long. So I don't want somebody in there saying, "Hey, coach, how come you didn't go for it on fourth down?" Or "How come you went for it on fourth down? That was stupid. Then we lost the game." I don't want guys that don't know ball asking ball questions. I don't want guys who don't watch film of college players saying, "Hey, I want to draft that guy. He looks really good. He won the Heisman Trophy. He must be the best player." Or, "I saw him on TV. He played for a big time program. He must be really good. Let's draft that guy." I want people to make the right decision. So yeah, if I sound concerned, I am. I don't like it. Again, it's not going to affect the next year or two. but I do get concerned about, do you have some crazy person coming in there that just kind of wrecks the process that this team has been strong with for so long. So I hope whatever happens that they find a way to keep, as I said, Jody Allen and Burt Cole involved, because I just think they're such calming voices. They demand excellence. Don't get me wrong. They are not going to. I mean, they fired Pete Carroll. I didn't think they would ever fire Pete Carroll because he had won a Super Bowl. I thought they'd let him just sort of go out on his own terms. But they're going to demand excellence, but they don't tell you the nuts and bolts of how to do it. They want to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and those are all fair questions that any owner should ask. But they don't tell them to how to do it exactly. They they hire the right people to make those decisions, and that's what we need from an owner. Is just, hey, write the checks, hire the right people, demand excellence. You do your part in what it takes to get excellence, but don't talk ball when you don't know ball. That's all I ask. Whoever, I'm sure, Mr. Bezos, if you're watching this, that's all I ask of you, my friend. Just write the checks, hire the right people, and keep your head out of the locker room and out of the coach's box and all those sorts of things. So, hey, thanks again, everybody, for checking out Seahawks Now. It's been a blast doing this, taking over this podcast recently. Remember to like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. And if you can comment as well, I want to delve into those comments and interact. And you can say whatever you want, and I won't take it personally. So I appreciate you checking us out, and go Hawks.